Money doesn't stay for many people, not because they are unlucky, not because the economy is against them, and not because opportunities are absent, but because of an unseen inner law working silently through their thoughts, words, beliefs, and emotional patterns. A law Florence Scovel Shinn repeatedly emphasized when she taught that life is a mirror, reflecting back one's dominant consciousness, and scarcity is never a punishment but a message, a signal revealing misalignment with divine supply. According to Shinn's divine teachings, money is not merely paper or numbers, but a symbol of energy, faith, circulation, and trust. And when a person feels that money comes but never stays, it is often because their inner identity does not permit permanence, stability, or overflow, acknowledging that at the subconscious level, they may believe wealth is temporary, unsafe, sinful, hard to keep, or always destined to leave. And this belief, once accepted, becomes law in their experience. For as Shinn said, the subconscious mind has no sense of humor and brings into manifestation what one deeply believes. And so if someone believes money slips away, it must obey. Scarcity, therefore, is not caused by lack of effort, but by lack of alignment with divine law, because divine supply is infinite and impartial, flowing constantly like air or sunlight, but only experienced by those whose consciousness is open to receive and retain it. And when money does not stay, it often reveals fear, fear of responsibility, fear of loss, fear of being judged, fear of change, or fear of surpassing one's family or social conditioning, all of which subtly command money to depart, since fear contracts energy, and money, being fluid, cannot remain where contraction dominates. Shinn taught that the universe responds not to need but to conviction, and when someone desperately tries to hold on to money while inwardly believing it is scarce, that desperation itself repels supply, creating a cycle where money arrives briefly and exits quickly, confirming the belief. Another real reason behind scarcity is divided loyalty, where one desires abundance verbally but secretly glorifies struggle, sacrifice, or suffering, believing that hardship equals virtue. And this inner conflict confuses the subconscious, causing inconsistent results, because divine law responds to clarity, not contradiction. Many people unconsciously identify with lack because it feels familiar, inherited through generations of stories like money doesn't last, rich people are greedy, or we were never meant to have much. And these inherited ideas operate like invisible contracts that dictate financial outcomes until consciously dissolved through spiritual understanding. Shinn emphasized the power of the spoken word, teaching that words are seeds that crystallize into form, and when a person frequently says, "Money never stays with me, expenses keep coming," or "something always goes wrong," they are not describing reality but creating it, for the word goes forth and does not return void, shaping circumstances to match its decree. Scarcity also persists when gratitude is absent, not because gratitude flatters God, but because gratitude aligns the mind with abundance, signaling readiness to receive more, whereas complaint reinforces the assumption of lack and commands more experiences to justify it. According to divine teaching, money must circulate to remain, and those who hoard from fear or spend from emptiness both disrupt healthy circulation, as money responds to trust and purpose, flowing where it is respected, appreciated, and used with clarity rather than anxiety. Another hidden cause of money instability is identity mismatch, where a person's self-image is small while their income potential is large, creating discomfort that subconsciously drives money away to restore inner consistency, because the mind always seeks alignment between identity and experience. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that one must claim their divine right boldly, affirming abundance not as hope but as truth, because the universe does not respond to pleading but to recognition, and when one declares with conviction, "Infinite intelligence is my supply, therefore money comes to me in avalanches of abundance and stays," the subconscious begins rearranging circumstances to comply. Scarcity also thrives when one focuses on conditions instead of causes, blaming external factors while ignoring inner alignment. Yet divine law works from the inside out, meaning once consciousness changes, conditions must follow. Money leaves when it is associated with guilt, when receiving feels undeserved, or when success triggers self-sabotage. And these patterns often originate in childhood experiences where love was conditional or resources were inconsistent, teaching the nervous system to expect loss even during gain. Shinn's teachings remind us that God is not a distant judge, but an ever-present source, and divine supply cannot be cut off, only blocked by erroneous thinking, much like sunlight blocked by closed curtains. And when those curtains are drawn back through faith and understanding, abundance naturally fills the space. Impatience is another subtle thief of money, because divine timing operates beyond human urgency, and those who panic when results delay often interfere with the process by doubting, canceling their own good with negative expectation. For Shinn warned that doubt neutralizes affirmation just as poison neutralizes medicine. Many people unconsciously live under the law of expectation, expecting bills, losses, or emergencies, and the subconscious faithfully prepares for these expectations, manifesting them precisely, whereas one who expects divine order and unexpected good experiences stability and surplus. The real reason money does not stay is therefore not misfortune but misalignment, not destiny but discipline of thought, not lack of opportunity but lack of inner permission. And when a person corrects their inner conversations, replaces fear with faith, and speaks prosperity as a present fact rather than a future wish, money responds by remaining, multiplying, and circulating harmoniously. Shinn taught that the universe is a place of absolute justice, not in punishment but in reflection, giving back exactly what is believed and affirmed, and thus scarcity is never permanent but always reversible through conscious alignment. One must also release resentment towards money itself, seeing it not as a burden or source of stress, but as a neutral servant of good. For money responds to love and appreciation just as relationships do, staying where it is welcomed rather than resented. Another overlooked factor is purpose, because money stays when it has direction, when income is connected to meaningful service rather than mere survival, since divine supply flows most freely through channels that bless others, not out of obligation but out of natural law. Shinn repeatedly emphasized that one must act as if abundance is already established, paying bills with gratitude rather than fear, giving with joy rather than anxiety, and expecting returns with calm assurance, because the subconscious accepts feeling as fact, and calm confidence is the feeling of abundance. Scarcity dissolves when one stops fighting life and begins cooperating with divine intelligence, trusting that there is always more where the last dollar came from, because supply is not limited to visible sources, but flows through unexpected channels once fear is released. The reason money does not stay is also tied to unresolved emotional debts, guilt, shame, or unhealed wounds that create inner chaos, and money, seeking order, cannot remain where emotional disorder dominates. Shinn taught that forgiveness is a prosperity tool, because resentment ties up energy that could otherwise manifest abundance, and when forgiveness is practiced sincerely, blocked channels reopen effortlessly. The mind trained in lack scans constantly for problems, while the mind trained in abundance scans for solutions, and money aligns with solution-oriented consciousness, staying where creativity, trust, and openness exist. Divine teachings remind us that we do not chase money, we attract it through alignment, and once aligned, effort feels lighter, opportunities appear naturally, and money stabilizes without force. When a person understands that they are not separate from supply, but an expression of it, scarcity loses its grip, because one no longer waits for permission to prosper. Money leaves when one lives in contradiction, affirming abundance but emotionally preparing for disaster, and it stays when thought, word, and feeling agree. Florence Scovel Shinn's core message was simple yet revolutionary, that life is not random but responsive, and once one takes responsibility for inner causes, outer effects must change. Therefore, the real reason behind scarcity is not external limitation but internal misalignment, and the solution is not harder work alone, but clearer thought, faithful speech, emotional discipline, and unwavering trust in divine law. When these elements align, money no longer comes and goes like a restless visitor, but settles like a loyal companion, because consciousness has finally become a place where abundance feels safe to stay.